Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories.
Daddy would have gotten us Uzis.
We open with a comet passing unusually close to the planet, so people are out partying on the streets. Unfortunately for the usher Regina, she's working tonight at the theater, so won't get to see the random appearance by a young LL Cool J. At least here she holds every top score on the Tempest arcade machine except for one that she just noticed, initialed DMK. She's told by her boss to get back to work, but we jump to her spending the night with her projectionist boyfriend Larry. When she calls home, her younger sister Samantha answers the phone and has been arguing with their stepmother all night.
Hello?
Reggie makes up some story about going to watch the comet with her science class to Doris, who runs the house while their father's away. He's working away with the military, so Sam accuses her stepmother of sleeping with their neighbor, getting her slapped in the face. She slaps her back, so Doris puts her weight into it and decks this girl with a right hook so hard it sends her back flipping. It's not like anything Samantha said was a lie, as Doris returns outside to let the neighbor Chuck stick his hand down her pants. Reggie spends the night with Larry in the steel-lined projection room while Earth passes through the comet's tail, burning out the eyes of everyone watching. The next morning the streets and sidewalks are eerily quiet, as all that remains of the population is red dust in their clothing. Regina wakes up to Larry angry because he lent a film to someone to pirate last night, but he hasn't brought back the original. He leaves to retrieve it, owing Reggie $15 that she'll never see again because he's bludgeoned to death by a zombie in the back alley. While Regina waits, she pushes DMK off the leaderboard, then goes for a wander outside, oblivious to the dusted remains littered around the streets. She gets locked out, so walks around to the back of the theater but finds Larry's keys on the ground and the bloody murder weapon. Surprised to see her boyfriend's 1971 Triumph still sitting there, she approaches when the zombie leaps out and speaks.
Come here!
Regina's father has given her self-defense training, so with a little help from a 2x4 she manages to fight him off. She jumps on Larry's bike and rides through Los Angeles, which is now under a constant red sky and completely deserted. Realizing that something bad has happened, she races home to find everyone has disappeared except for her oblivious sister. Samantha ran away last night after getting punched in the face, but she didn't have anywhere to go, so just spent the night in the steel garden shed. She doesn't believe that everyone is missing and just continues getting ready for cheerleading practice, so the sister brings her outside to prove it. They pass what's left of the dog on their way out, and Reggie shows Sam that Chuck is now just a bit of red dust in his fancy shoes. She still has a hard time accepting that the comet killed everyone on Earth, especially when they hear a DJ on the radio. They drive into the city to find that the local station is still operating, but that everything is being run automatically. Another survivor named Hector makes them stand in the light at gunpoint to see their faces and make sure they aren't zombies. He says that he's a truck driver who spent the night in his steel trailer, then came to the radio station to search for more survivors. Reggie and Hector deduce that steel is what protected them from the comet, while Samantha goes on air to announce herself one-third owner of the city. She jokingly asks for song requests from the public when receiving a call from a group of scientists in an underground bunker called the Think Tank. They sealed themselves inside the steel-lined fallout shelter the night before, and their leader Carter tells the survivors they'll send a rescue team. Dr. Audrey complains that they should not continue to bring outsiders into the bunker, but doesn't say whose safety it's for. The zombies are people who only got partially exposed to the comet, and this group assumes that the girls will succumb to the same fate. Despite this, Carter ignores her warning and just keeps bringing in apocalypse survivors by helicopter, no matter what their age. That night Samantha drives around in a stolen car until getting pulled over by a couple of dedicated cops. She's surprised that they're still operating for no pay, but that's only because they're zombie cops who wake Sam up from her nightmare. It's mostly surprising because she hasn't even seen one yet and goes to take a shower but is attacked for a second time. Imaginary zombie cop stabs her in the back, but Sam wakes up screaming as this girl has some serious problems. She remains awake all night and develops a rash from the stress, while Hector stays for the night but tells Regina that he needs to leave in the morning. He needs to go to his parents' house to check if they survived, and despite her boyfriend dying the same day, Regina's all over the stranger. The next morning she and Sam raid a gun shop and go practice on a car, but they could only find MAC-10s that keep jamming. Sam says that their father would have bought them Uzis and is upset that Regina has already locked up the only available man on the planet. Meanwhile, Hector arrives at his parents' home to confirm that his family is dead and gathers up a few keepsakes. He finds no sign of his parents, but instead a young zombified neighbor who chases him around the house. Reluctant to shoot at a little boy, Hector climbs out of a window and escapes, but also ditches his truck. Back in Los Angeles, Regina's comforting her sister, who talks about her best friend and how she's never going to see her again. She then begins talking about a boy that she likes, so Reggie decides to take her depressed sister to a department store to blow off some steam. They spend 5 minutes dressing in fancy outfits that they couldn't afford before the apocalypse and dancing to Cyndi Lauper. As they fall back into talking about Hector being the last man on Earth, we see they're being watched from the security cameras. A group of former Stockboys cut the lights while the leader Willy taunts the girls over the PA system. Regina has a shootout with the gang, but Sam put her gun down when entering, so now must throw shoes at their attackers. With all of the mannequins around, Reggie's able to disguise herself, leading to the Stockboys shooting everything in the store with a face. Sam begins dropping TVs from the upper level and shows her father's training when kneeing a stranger in the balls to get away. She's eventually captured by Willy in his fancy embroidered nightgown and held as a hostage to force Reggie to surrender. Planning to use a henchman as her own hostage, Willy just shoots him because he doesn't give a crap and captures both girls. The gang chain them up in the basement, and Willy reveals himself to be a partial zombie that just hasn't turned feral yet. He has some weird devotion to the store and saw the girls stealing from it, so plans to execute them with a single bullet through both of their heads. At the same time, the think tank arrives at the radio station and finds the place empty, so decide to go searching for the girls. LA is so small that they somehow locate them in the department store basement and shoot all of the zombie boys dead. They rescue the girls, but Audrey sees Samantha itching, so she elects to remain behind with her and another scientist to wait for Hector. Regina is taken by helicopter back to the think tank's bunker while Samantha assumes the doctor is going to treat her sickness. Audrey pretends to give Samantha an injection to help with the rash, but then declares to the other guy that she put the girl down. She says that she won't be a party to bringing any more humans back to the bunker, then outdraws her colleague, shooting him dead. It's Christmas Day when Hector returns to the radio station driving a 1953 Buick and dressed like Santa Claus. He later finds Samantha, but for now Audrey's off her head on a concoction of chemicals and close to becoming a zombie. She reveals that the scientists are all infected because they accidentally left vents open on the bunker, which isn't very think tanky. Within 36 hours they will all be dust from exposure unless they can find a cure, which is why they're abducting people off the street. Audrey then dies while Hector's left to locate the bunker, where Regina's being interrogated by Carter upon entry. He asks her intrusive questions about previous medical conditions before he inevitably turns her into a glorified blood bag. Just then Carter begins to transform, so hides his eyes with glasses and reveals that they killed her sister to prevent her becoming a zombie. In a room nearby we see two nurses drawing blood from brain-dead prisoners being harvested for experiments. They discuss that the two children won't produce much blood, but that Reggie, being a healthy young woman, should produce a large amount. When a doctor enters to clean up the mess that Regina made in her anger, she knocks him unconscious and searches for a way out. She's recaptured, but this guy basically just delivers her a gun as she knocks him out again and goes searching for other survivors. The kids are about to be put unconscious by the nurses and turned into blood bags, but Regina manages to save them. Outside of the facility, Hector arrives and takes out the guard by pretending to be delivering the body of Samantha. Audrey only gave her a sedative, and Sam helps with the guard before sneaking inside the bunker while her sister killed the power. Hector rigs up explosives to the truck parked outside while Sam finds Regina, who almost blows her head off. They rescue the kids and put the nurses in their places, so upon discovery Carter and the scientists chase the girls topside. Jumping into the Buick they get away before realizing they still need to see the final explosion. Hector pulls over to taunt the scientists, who jump in their truck as Carter goes full zombie but turns the key, blowing them all up. Getting out to admire his work, the final zombie attacks the kids, but Reggie throws Hector the gun and he shoots it off screen. The next day rain begins to wash away all of the red dust and the skies clear, returning to a blue. Hector and Regina have become parents to the two kids and take pictures dressed in their spiffy new clothes. Samantha contemplates becoming a nun or something and mocks the Brady Bunch-looking family for not crossing the street at a red light in a deserted city. Just then she's almost run over by a kid in a Mercedes who introduces himself as Danny Mason Keener and invites Sam to go for a drive. She feels obliged since he's the last boy left, but his license plate reads DMK, which means that he isn't as good as her sister at Tempest. And the movie ends.